Prepare your ears, humans. Happy, Sad, Confused begins now.
Hey guys, it's Josh. Welcome to another edition of Happy, Sad, Confused. Today it's a spoiler special for Predator Badlands with the director Dan Trachtenberg. Hey guys, thanks as always for joining me on the podcast. If you're watching this, you can see I'm in a little bit of a different environment right now. I'm in Los Angeles. I was out here taping a few really exciting things, an upcoming podcast, a new series, and hosting the red carpet for Stranger Things Season 5, which is epic, huge. Today's episode, though, most importantly, is all about Predator, and specifically Predator Badlands, which is now out in theaters. This movie is so good. You're going to hear me gush a lot, so I apologize in advance. But Dan Trachtenberg, 10 Cloverfield Lane, Prey, Predator Killer of Killers, he knows his stuff. This is a guy I've known for a while, who we've been talking for a while, and we kind of run into each other things, and, you know, we have mutuals. He's never done the podcast. You're going to experience a little bit of a mutual admiration society. Again, apologies. Dan is very kind, a devoted fan of Happy, Sad, Confused. I'm a devoted fan of his. So if you can't stand 45 minutes of men gushing about each other's work, you're listening or watching the wrong podcast. I saw this movie recently, and as I said to Dan, like, to be honest, like, I'm like running around. I have no room in the schedule, and I'm like, it's time. I have to do Dan. This movie's so good. So this was recorded in this crappy hotel room at 6 a.m. Hopefully I was semi-coherent for catching up with Dan. Luckily, he's very articulate, knows his stuff, and had a lot to say, and to unload some spoiler stuff. So, like I said, this is best experienced. I mean, don't watch or listen to this until you've seen Predator Badlands, because what are you doing to yourself? Experience the movie, enjoy it. But if you have seen it, this is for you. We dissect a lot of cool moments, Easter eggs, connections to other films. It's no secret that this has linkage to the Alien franchise, but take away all those bells and whistles. This is just a rockin' great action adventure sci-fi movie. So you guys are in for a treat if you haven't seen it yet, and if you have, you know what I'm talking about. Other things to mention really quickly, I'll just tease some other things going on. Patreon.com/HappySadConfused. All the info, early access, discount codes, including upcoming events. I've got one next week in New York. Is it next week? Actually, I think by the time you listen to this, it's going to be this week. I think so. November 18th. It's coming up soon. Brendan Fraser, talking rental family, but his entire career. He's never done the podcast. I'm so excited. Brendan, a living legend. So we're going to screen the movie at 92Y. Then I'm going to have a big career chat with him. There's a lot of great episodes in the can. It's a good time for movies right now. I love the fall. It's great. Stranger Things, a really cool podcast I just recorded. I'll say it because I posted the photo. Winona Ryder's back. Of course she's back. You guys know I'm obsessed with Winona. She's the best. 4th time on the podcast. That's coming up soon. Maybe some other Stranger Things podcasts too. I will just tease. Nothing firmed up, but we've been talking about some other people. So we're going to cover this last season in a big way, I think, on Happy, Sad, Confused. I'm very excited for everything to come on the pod the last couple months of the year, because we got some cool stuff cooking. So stay tuned. I'm going to let you guys enjoy this now. Like I said, Dan Trachtenberg, you know him, you love him. 10 Cloverfield Lane, Prey, Killer of Killers, and now Predator Badlands. This guy knows his stuff. And I think this conversation started in a very casual way, so it's going to feel a little organic, but that's all good. Here's me catching up with director Dan Trachtenberg. Enjoy.
We're doing it.
Oh my gosh. Can't believe it.
We couldn't do another 10 years of dancing around each other. Hi, Dan.
I'm in my home in Philadelphia, my childhood home.
Oh.
And tucked away in a room, borrowing a computer and all that stuff. So sorry for all the crazy.
No, yeah, I get it. You know how to read. You have books behind you, dude.
This doesn't even. We're not even going to talk about my mom's books. This is a crazy thing.
It's good
dude,
to see you. Yeah,
I only half gushed when we saw each other at Comic-Con. I'm ready to full full gush.
Okay, I want like 10%. Don't do too much. I mean, I'll
No,
take
we're
a
gonna
little
go.
bit,
We're gonna go.
and luckily, dude, I mean, not to say, like, I always want to do this, but like, I'm doing this at 6 a.m. after I hosted the Stranger Things premiere last night in
Oh
LA.
my
I
gosh.
loved this movie, and I know we wanted to do this for a while, but like, I saw the movie and I'm like, okay, we have to make this happen because the movie's so fucking good, man. I mean,
Well,
congratulations.
thank you in so many ways. But I'm a long time fan, and I've always been um so curious about your story, and because I'm here, I was thinking about. I feel like, and I haven't listened to every episode, so I don't know if more has been told, but
What?
I remember that I remember you um did one episode. I feel like it may have even been from your childhood home with your brother. That was
Yeah.
a rare thing. Um, and I've always just found that um you I think when I first started listening to you, I was like, why is he so? It sounds like he works in the business. It doesn't sound like um, you're super objective and come from a place of journalism as much as
Yeah.
like having been
Yeah.
inside it, which may just be that you're that insightful, or from stuff with your brother. I do not know. But and you also. Uh, which I know that you are aware of, but there's this crazy thing that anytime I see a headline of an interesting story, it's always from you. It's like always from you.
To
Um,
an obnoxious level. No, I appreciate that. That's
it's
very
re
sweet. I
it's
mean,
really weird. It's really weird that, and you have a very disarming way about you, and
right.
so um, the chats feel more like friends catching up than they do feel investigatory. So you get people are comfortable and they share things that maybe they wouldn't when we're all so prepared to like sell a movie or TV show or whatever it is. Um, but the only time I ever heard you be nervous, do you know the one time that you feel like you were the most nervous?
No, well, let's see if it
Because
jogs
you're
some.
normally very much not.
Yeah.
Um, but Indiana Jones, Harrison Ford,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
he used to do a thing where people grab out of a hat,
Yeah. The Indiana
right?
Jones hat. Yeah. Yeah.
Indiana
Good.
Jones
Yeah.
hat,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's
Um,
amazing. I was nervous. That was a junket, and that was like a shorter thing. And yeah, he's Harrison Ford. Have you
yeah, it's
met
a shorter thing. You
Harrison?
don't have
Like,
time to like
and
nestle.
he's famously just like
Yeah,
so dry and
yeah.
so I mean he's great, but I actually loved the way that interview came out. But you're right. Like I walked into that room like, okay, how do I get something
I heard a
juicy?
difference in you that was is not
That's
like
funny.
the way you normally are. But what is your
Dan, we're gonna okay, you got 2 more minutes and then we're going
okay?
into
Well,
Predator. Okay.
just give me a little bit, and
Okay.
then we
Okay.
can talk. But what how did you gain the superpower? What was the what formed this?
I did my 10,000 hours. To be honest, I failed before I like got comfortable. Like I was
Yeah.
like, we probably share a similar early background.
Yep.
I went to like sci-fi conventions. I was like a crazy pop culture nerd with my older brother and
Hmm.
like did college radio and did like anonymous interviews for like years and years and years. So by the time like I didn't start to do on camera till I was 30.
Right.
So I think there was that, and I don't know. Like, if I when I self-analyze, I think you've analyzed it well. Like, my superpower, if there is one, is like I do talk to everybody the same way. Like, I'm able to shut out 99% of the time outside of Harrison Ford,
Right. Right.
the part of my brain that's like, why am I talking to my childhood crush Winona Ryder right now? Like, this does not compute. Um,
Right.
and I have so much love. This is not. I'm not faking it. I love this shit, and like, I hopefully that comes through. So I don't know how to teach a
1000%.
I don't know how
But
to teach a
were you
course of
like
what I
an
do.
intern at MTV and then
My
like is
my
that yeah.
my quick background
Yeah.
is I was so college radio. I worked for Charlie Rose right out of school. Remember the Charlie Rose
Oh,
show? I was a producer there
wow.
for 4 years, and that guy, say what you will about him, he did exhaustive, in-depth interviews. So I learned how to prep and research and go hardcore into it.
Ah,
And like I said, lived kind of a life before I started to actually do the
I
interviews
see.
myself.
I
Um,
see.
so
Okay.
that's
Okay.
it. But they're
Cool.
not here for me, Dan. Look, we've been.
No, I think we are a little bit. I think we are, but go ahead. Yeah.
Okay, so this is some further context for the folks out there. It's we're taping this on opening day for Predator
Yeah.
Badlands, and this is a really really great movie, great Predator movie, great like adventure sci-fi movie. And Dan and I, as you can tell, guys, if you're listening or watching, we know each other to a degree because we've kind of traveled in the same spaces, but we've never done this deep dive. And I want to do this, hopefully talk a little spoilers if that's okay with you. We're going to run this
I'm
after.
thrilled to. I'm thrilled to. That's success. I'm like, oh my God, you talk about the movie as the movie
Okay.
uh, is great.
Okay. So first, just a little context, some of the basics that you have been talking about a little bit. Um, Germ of the idea for Predator Badlands. Is it about, I heard you talk about this, but like there is that funny thing when you start to think about the Predator in these movies, it's like it's the most, amazing species that always somehow gets its ass kicked. So it's time. Put
It's
it
time.
right.
It's time. Um, and it's just the next thought there is like, okay, so let's make a Predator movie where he wins.
Yeah.
Um, but that a slasher movie where the bad guy wins in the end is it was a fun thing, although kind of happens a lot in slasher movies anyway. There's always the like one extra shot of the coda is usually and then the slasher still wins. So that didn't excite me and did not make for maybe have made for another I could figure out another cool Predator movie, but not for an actual great
Yeah.
movie, all-encompassing film. So thought a little bit harder and got to a place where it was like maybe the predator is on the same journey that normally the human
Yeah.
is on. Um, and that leads to this great place where that's not just cool for a predator movie, that's cool for a sci-fi movie. We have how many movies have we seen where we've fallen in love with the creature sidekicks, and and even the villains, even the monsters in the movie. And for the first time now, it's not it's not even there's quite a bit of T2 influence in this
I was gonna
movie,
say.
but even T2, it's John Connor's movie
Right.
and Arnold's the sidekick. So really going even further. And of all the creatures, like it feels a little bit more accessible when you think about Chewbacca doing it. But the like famously ugly motherfucker, and like
Yeah.
that's who we're hitching you to. And yes, we're gonna make you feel things for that, um, and still let it be ferocious and
Right.
vicious and brutal. So that was the like call to action of like, holy crap, this could be a really cool movie.
And you set it up in such a great way. The pre-credit sequence like had me. It's such a good. And you immediately feel for Deck, and you realize that this is as you watch the film further. There's this great symmetry. It's a film about siblings. It's a film about the outcast sibling. Um, Talk a little bit about that first opening sequence because that like if you don't accomplish that first you it's a kick-ass dramatic emotional sequence, but it also puts you on Deck's side and makes you immediately feel for the first time for the Predator.
The North Star, for me, for openings, is not Raiders. I knew you were thinking it.
Yeah.
The North Star openings for me are two JJ movies. Um,
Oh, Star Trek,
are
of course. Yeah.
what's what's that?
Star Trek has to be
Yeah,
one of them. Yeah.
yeah,
All
yeah.
timer.
I mean, what other opening are you crying, like bawling, like Marley and Me, end of movie, typical tears in the first 5 minutes of a movie, you know?
Let's call him
Um,
Jim. Jim, and the Giacchino score kicks in. I
yeah,
mean, it kills me
it's
every time.
gone, gone. And Super 8
Yeah.
has it opens on two shots back to back. I've always wanted to get them framed and put on my office wall that is like someone changing a sign that says we haven't had an accident in so
Right.
many days and it's being changed to zero. And the very next shot is a lone house in a suburb and a kid on a swing set and the door opens with a father coming. It's like I know everything I need to know.
Yeah.
in two images. They don't even need to have been moving, though they are, but like two images. Um, so that's always the holy grail every time, but this time especially, like getting people on the side of um the quote unquote monster
Yeah.
was really thinking about um it's got to happen right away. There's also like hitman movie logic, gangster movie logic of um and from dusk till dawn a little bit too of
Mm.
like you're with the bad guys because they're up against something even worse than them, you know. And that in this movie had to be emotional and physical.
Totally.
Um, so
And
so
did you hit upon that kind of linkage between, Thea and her sister, as it were, Deck and his brother pretty early on? Like, oh, this is a thematic linkage that's going to work.
yeah, characters that are um outcasts that are seen as broken, um, that are trying to break a cycle. I love that one of my favorite movies is Magnolia, and there's a line of Magnolia that says, "You maybe don't the past, but the past ain't done with you." I think that is the only thematic in movies that needs to be investigated. If we have that in stories, we have enough to like live as a culture. So
Yeah.
I'm always interested in characters breaking cycles and dealing with the burden of where they've come from. Um, and these are two characters that are trying to be more than where they came from, or eventually trying to be more than um, where they came from. Yeah.
I don't know about you, Dan, but having seen all these movies all these years, I think it's time to stop trusting Weyland Yutani. I don't know if they're a reputable organization. Someone should
Uh,
investigate them.
I concur. I concur. And such is tends to be the case in life with our many corporations that we know sometimes their best interest is not in the public, and yet we still
Yeah.
endure and receive, and utilize the stuff from the corporations. So,
So
um,
L's characters follows in a long line. I mean, I've always been a sucker. I'm sure you have for, Ian Holm, Lance Henriksen, all these synths. Like these characters are like some of my favorites in the Alien movies, and these two are fantastic. Um, you talked about this a little bit, but let's talk a little bit about connecting Weyland Yutani, Alien into this in the way that you did. Just happened organically. It's not like a corporate mandate, like, hey, you want to think about Alien in here? Like, give me a
the
sense.
opposite. No, none of this movie was the corporate. No one was like, "Hey, dude, next up, make one with like very little actors that'll help us sell the movie,"
Right.
and a monster that, like everyone who likes Predator, has never really asked for this kind of,
Yep. Yep.
none of this, because there's obviously there's always a thing from anything that comes from Disney, where people say Disneyfication of something or whatever it is,
Right.
or
Right.
oh, look at Disney, they're doing this. Let me tell you, they did not ask. This is all, if you're not cool with the movie, it's this guy's fault, I assure you. Um, and yeah, no, I really um was just thinking about as soon as I put a human in the movie, um, then it becomes T2, which is great, but that exists.
Yeah.
It's going to become um we as the creators of it, and also at the end the audience will just sort of more attached to the human um than the monster. So there was sort of a rule from the start, as I was thinking about, like, okay, no humans, and the next thought was like monster and robot. There's something sort of Miyazaki feeling
Yeah.
about that,
Yeah.
or and then the next thought was like, holy crap,
We
wait a
got this
second.
sitting here. It's right there,
It's
guys.
right there. It's right there. Yeah.
So,
Weyland Yutani. Yeah.
so is there any permutation of this where you lean even more in, where they're hunting the xenomorph, where there's a little bit even more of a overt alien overlap?
Um, I just think this is where I'm like, this is how Josh gets it. This is how he does it. I'm gonna be
I don't know what you're
uh,
talking about.
no, like I forget the line from Superman, but like it's more punk rock to me that there is no xenomorph in this movie. And the longer we can go, but who know, whatever. But it's just really cool. This is there's probably is precedent that someone will point out. Um, but it's typically when you have two things from different IP or franchise or whatever coming together, it's the things.
Yeah.
It's it's the it's the action figures, you know? And it's just so cool to me that we've just taken an element. We could
Right.
do that. We can do that. We can just take this one element, and that's fusing to Predator, and we'll let this cook, and whatever, come blossoms from there, um, will be awesome. And it would be great. I concur. It would be really cool. Um, and people have to fall in love with one movie at a time, obviously. Um, but it would be great if eventually there's a crossover. It's not like, I mean, a heavier crossover with
Yeah.
Xenos. Um, it's not a marketing gimmick. It's not like the entire point of the movie is the crossover.
Yeah.
It'd be great if it came from the narrative either that we would be building on, or that's just genuinely awesome for that movie, you know?
So speaking of the crossover elements, I mean, one moment, you know, she emerges in something akin to the power loader of Aliens. Is that another iteration essentially of the Aliens power loader?
1,000%. That
Yeah.
is meant. That is referred to us as the super power loader. Yeah, no, that was every intention of being. And I had to tell you, yeah, it was actually um, there was a challenge there because the temptation was you want to see the Predator up against something really gnarly and technological, um, and you want to indulge in all the mech stuff that you possibly could. But A, Mr. Jim Cameron um, really indulged in that in Avatar, growing up, which he deserves to, as he born and bred it in so many ways. Um, but also like the thing that makes it distinct, what was so cool in Aliens was that you saw it in the beginning as a piece of utility equipment.
Yeah.
Um, and that's what it defines Weyland Yutani. I try as hard as I can, a mantra throughout developing and production and the whole way across. It's like what can happen in only this movie. Because there's tons of a mech can be in Avatar, can be in
Sure.
Pacific. Lots of movies can have a mech fighting something. Um, but only in this movie with Weyland Yutani can it be an ancestor of the power. Like, can it be a power loader thing? And so, was challenging to devise it around a piece of that equipment that made sense as made for utility,
Yeah.
that could then be weaponized um, and all that. Yeah.
Well, and I think what you toe the line very well, and like I don't want to crap on another movie because I actually loved what Fede did. I loved his last Alien movie. I
Yeah.
think he did a great
Awesome.
job. I think some people had a quibble. I'm not going to put you on the spot, but like the quoting of the line, "The get away from her, you bitch," is like one step too much for me. Like we don't need like to like underline it, and you don't underline the power loader. For those that remember Aliens, it's like, oh, that I see the connection, and I even had to clarify it with you, and that I think less is more in
Yeah,
something
it's so
like
funny.
that.
I actually thought it would be obvious, but it hasn't. I thought as soon as we put a little glimpse in the trailer, I'm like, oh my God, they're all gonna like say,
Yeah,
"Pow," and people weren't saying it. I mean, admittedly, we kept it pretty dark in the trailers,
right.
but even now, yeah, the line stuff is just always hard. We had a line in Prey, um, and I think that went over okay. The trick is like it's a line that would be said anyway. You
Right.
know, if like in that moment, it would be necessary to say that, as opposed to this is definitely here
Uh,
for
yeah.
um a moment, and we avoided and also because the temptation, what do you all day, every day on set, everyone is pitching. Wouldn't it be fun if,
Right. Right.
like on Prey, everyone was like, let's name a horse Chopper,
Right.
like
That makes-
it or like the fur trappers would be like, get to chopping her or something,
Oh my
like
God.
it it's fun to joke around, and of course the temptation is right in front of us. I will say we tried very hard. Ultimately, there's a little bit of wiggle in the end, but the Callisk, um, the creature that cannot be killed, does not bleed. Like visually, like
Right.
you like there's a little bit of when it's saw spinning
Yeah.
in our minds. That's just flesh that's being spun
Yeah.
around. You know, you see it reconstruct itself, and there's no blood um dripping whenever it reconforms and all that stuff. Just so
Gosh.
we had our internal kind of like, it's fine, it's not bleeding, so
Yeah.
you can't kill it.
Let me ask you this. The ending, always the way you wanted to end it, mom coming. um, what were the permutations? What were you thinking about?
I would say the ending went through um growth, a lot of growth. The original coda, the same kind of stuff happened, but it was much more brief. It was much more Kurosawa. It was actually a lot like the ending of the samurai, the sword chapter in Killer of Killers. It was a standoff. They charged each other, Deck and Father. And then blood, you saw green blood dripping. You didn't know whose it was, and we boom up and reveal his gauntlet's got blood on it, and Dad has been sliced, and then Big Bud comes over and chomps the head,
Right.
and that was it. Um,
Cut to black. Yeah.
Cut to black in so many ways.
Yeah.
Um, and the first time we tested it, uh, they were like, "We want more." Like more. Dad, come on, Dad's so badass. We want more. We want more. Um, so that's what evolved. We really added that whole end fight, the brothers, or the other guards, um, and so much more with Dad. Uh, and then also that mother ending, and I really can't place um when that first. I think I was thinking about the end of Killer of Killers, and the spaceship going off into the sunset, just like that Apocalypse Now-y thing, and like inverting that and having something. You know what it is? It's like there's just something to me, and Cloverfield Lane ended in this way too, of like you forged a character through the fires of one movie. Um, uh and the idea of like it's not over yet for them, but now they are ready for it in a new way.
Yeah.
I've always loved the surge of that. um and
Ready for the
so
next adventure,
get
whatever
ready for the
whatever may
next thing,
come. Yeah.
get ready for whatever's worse out there, and
Yeah.
then the thought of, oh, I know what could be worse than Dad,
So
Mom.
how fully fleshed out is what to do with mom? I don't have we ever seen on screen a female predator? No,
Never
right?
seen on screen a female
That's
predator.
crazy.
Yeah.
Again, you're finding all the areas like, oh wait, we've never explored that aspect. So
Yeah.
there must be you have some ideas to explore that aspect of who.
Yeah, there's thoughts. There's thoughts. And certainly I'd want to make sure that it wasn't. There's a lot of like fan art of what,
Yeah.
and certainly the comics have had. And I'd certainly want to make sure it feels unique and special, and like fits in with the culture of the Yacha as we've been realizing it. I will say to you, that was one of the things, um, in the end, this last line, that I suddenly got um, really, really nervous about, because I didn't want people to be like, wait, mom from the mother from Weyland Yutani, or like have any confusion. Like I got scared. It's like it'd be fine if that moment happened in the middle of the movie, but it's the last thought of the movie, and we constructed the thing of going to title and then back to that, so that the last thought is like he's Deck of the Yautja, and then there's, even though it's splitting hairs, but there's
Yeah.
still, um, and that's what I had emailed Jim Cameron about, and uh. And
What was the question or thought
so
like what was
I initially sent him the cut,
yeah.
and he wrote a lovely response back. I've said this,
Yeah.
just, tale, but he, to say the full thing, and but he loved Prey, which is mind blowing. Absolutely, like that's all it's like no one has to like Prey, but if he likes it, I'm fine. It's like,
1,000,000%.
um, and and so when we were shooting in New Zealand, he had me come down to. We were in Auckland. He's in Wellington. Arranged by the great Steve Asbell, who runs 20th and is collaborating with both of us. Jim had me visit the set of Avatar, such as it is, and hang out in his edit bay for like hours. It was unreal. And annoyingly, I remember so little because obviously the whole time I'm like, I can't believe this happening. I can't believe this happening. I can't believe this is happening. And I'm like not retaining all that I want to retain from it. Um, but we then were reconvening to get some dinner. And when he came in after being let off, he sat down. I told in the edit bay, I told him like everything that I was worried about with the movie. I'm doing this whole new process where we're having like, someone in suit, but we are doing some visual effects with the face, and this hadn't been done and all that. And he sat down, and he said, I was thinking about what you're doing and think it's gonna work. And that was like, took that blew me back to Auckland, that encouragement. And it was exactly what I needed to hear.
Yeah.
The funny thing is, I sent him the cut um, a couple months ago, so it was mostly there, but still not quite all the way there. Um, and he wrote a lovely, at length, thoughts about the film. Um, and said, I have to be honest, when I first heard about what you were doing, I did not think it was going to work. But now that I've seen it, holy crap, you really pulled it off. Um, and
You can retire on that one.
I can
Yeah.
retire.
Yeah.
And I really think that he he knows what someone in my shoes needs to hear to get
Right.
over each hurdle at different stages.
Right.
But so I responded to him because he was just so like lovely and aware where we are in the process. You can't like give notes on the very basis of what you're doing. But I said the ending with the mother, like, how did that land for you? I could also play it this way or that way. And he wrote a huge response of just how delicious it is as a final moment, and do not back away from it, and stick to it. So
This is a good guy to have as a consultant going forward. Keep this James Cameron in your life.
yeah.
So, we've talked about this, you've talked with others, like you've set up all these different threads thanks to Prey, Killer of Killers, this one. Like you can go in 1,000 different directions. I know you have, it sounds like one idea. You came up with three ideas. One became Killer of Killers, one became this. Sounds like there's one that's like really primed. How far along is that? Is that in story, in script yet? Where are we
It's
at?
I would say that's in story.
Okay.
It's in story. It's waiting to be furthered, and we'll see how we do today. But just like Kill Comes Bat, like there's quite a number of things that like we could do, and there's things that I would love to do not in
Of course.
commercial land, but um uh it's crazy how malleable this franchise has turned out to be, but I do think that was um that isn't the case for others, and I think that's has something to do with um crazy genre combination that was the original
Yeah.
movie. That right from the jump, the thing that we loved about it was that it was so many things in one. um and it just so happens that the Predator as a character carries with it so much thematic weight that some other monsters don't. necessarily have until the right filmmaker comes along where they resonate with them in a specific way. Yeah.
Well, the cool thing is like you didn't rush to kind of like the obvious. As you said, you've kind of been setting all this up and they've all worked so far. You're 3 for 3 in these films. And hopefully if this, this continues, um, and you've talked to Arnold, we know you've been talking to Arnold, you've said this. Um, my question is like, I guess, how far along is that permutation of getting Arnold back into the mix? And also like, but in your post credit, in your animation sequence there, his character is younger. Are you de-aging Arnold in whatever you might use him for in the future?
There's an exciting amount of things that we could do um, with Arnold, with Danny, with Nadu from Pre, like that. What that the that movie was the working title for it, or our code name for it was Warehouse. And with that conceit, it really allows for us to tell any kind of story we want in animation, in live action, how they ended up to be in that warehouse, where they go directly after, where they could be many, many years from then. So, uh,
Does,
yeah,
does Arnold have ideas? Has he been pitching you? Here's what I think.
he didn't have any specific ideas, but um, he is was very attracted to um, filmmakers and like interested in working. We talked about a lot of things over the course of his career, and uh, people with vision and has a real fondness for this movie, um, and and loves the idea of there being more again in a better way than he felt that things were going way back in the 80s 90s era.
Well, I'm sure, yeah, I'm sure, we grew up around the same time. Arnold is so meaningful. And like when he put himself in the hands of people like McTiernan or Verhoeven or Cameron, like that, I mean, yes, like the other stuff was fine, but like if you use him as the right tool,
Yeah.
he's as good as they come.
Yes. I
So it'd
think he's
be
become quite aware of that now.
right,
Yeah.
right. It's time, like, in this time left, let's like work with some cool filmmakers. So I hope that pans out, man. I mean, obviously, a lot of folks first came aware of you thanks to Cloverfield Lane. And I mean, I would imagine you've probably taken every meeting, I would imagine, because you work in genre and you clearly have the stuff. You've done the Feige meeting. You've met with James Gunn. You've met with Star Wars. You've met with all of these people. You have to have, yes?
Joshua.
What?
This is yeah. Over the years, so many, yeah, absolutely. I like so many filmmakers of my generation and younger who have made a movie that strikes a chord, have definitely met. By the way, I will say I met um with a producer named Jeremy Latcham um, at Marvel, and Kevin because of Jeremy uh, years ago, to meet for Guardians of the Galaxy
Oh, wow.
before James Gunn, um, based off of my short film Portal knows,
Right.
like, some YouTube whatever, like,
Right.
because that they were like that creative, like
Yeah.
let's find someone interesting and cool. I did not get the job, obviously, but and rightfully so, but still so awesome. I remember I met them on the day that um they had just I hope I'm remembering this right, but I think they had just shown Avengers to like people on a spaceship.
It sounds
There
about
was a
right. I don't
NASA
know.
mission, like
Okay,
they
sure.
like screened Avengers for people on the space station. Um, and I nerded out with Kevin Feige about Disneyland, and um, and I will say, um, yeah, what because it was they had a screenplay for it, but what James Gunn brought to that uh was so him and so not exactly what that movie would have been had they just filmed this, which they never would have,
Right.
and Marvel, would, but James really brought everything to that movie. So
It's a long career. I'm
yeah,
sure
so I met with
there will be other sandboxes you will play in at some point. We'll just see at the right time, the right one that
yeah.
fits. Because you really, I mean, I was texting honestly after I saw this with some folks that'd seen it, like, give Dan whatever he wants. Like you could do a kick-ass Star Wars if George Miller wants to give Matt. I trust you. You could work in all these genres because you know story, you know sci-fi, you know. I don't know. You don't. You're charting your own path, but you know the bones of what makes these things work, man.
But I appreciate you saying, but also I always have reverberating in me that like famed conversation on the beach in Hawaii between Spielberg and Lucas, where Spielberg was lamenting that they weren't letting him do James Bond,
Right.
and Lucas was like, "Don't worry about like I got something else for you, Indiana
Indiana
Jones.
Jones.
Like
Yeah.
make your own thing." And
Yeah.
so even though Predator is not my original thought, but what I'm doing with it, I get to really express myself as I want to be, and that may not be the case when I'm playing with
I get
other
it.
folks' action figures, you know? Yeah.
So on the second go around, I've only seen the film once. What should I and other folks look out for in watching Predator Badlands? Easter eggs, moments, callbacks, things you're proud of.
There, I will say, okay, I'll say a few things for you. There's Nadu is in the movie. The backbiter, the creature from uh the end of Killer of Killers,
Right.
is right after you see Nadu in the movie. Um, there is an audible allusion that dates back to the original Alien, in this latter half of the film. There's a line, the key line, one of the key lines of the movie is syncs up with a key line from Prey. Um, God, there was something else that I realized not many people are picking up on this. Um, that I'm drawing a
You're
blank.
good. You're good.
Okay, great.
No, don't worry
Thank
about it. Don't worry.
you.
We will talk again. It will come to you.
All right.
Um, so it's opening day. Are you going to sneak into a theater? Is there a tradition for you when movies of yours have come out?
It's not a tradition. I'm gonna be flying home.
I mean, Prey
Uh,
didn't get the shot, so you get to experience this in a theater. Thank
yeah, that's
goodness.
true. That's true. The although by the way, I will say when Cloverfield Lane came out, um, there was a screening in New York. It was premiered in New York, but there was a screening right before the premiere, that Tamar had me come and intro, and I passed you,
I
and
remember that.
Josh Horowitz is here. So the yeah, no, I might lurk outside to hear chatter outside. Okay, I've been wondering if I should ever say this out loud, but the first test screening, um I feel like it's safe to say because now like the reviews for the movie are good, so it's like we did all right. But the first test screening, um, I had to like run. I had to go to the bathroom right
Oh
away
no.
after. And I was in the
Oh
bathroom,
no.
and two guys walk in, and they were like, "What the fuck was that? That piece? What are they? And I was like, I can't believe this is the first." But people were reacting to it and laughing, and then I'm like, I was like, all right, I think this is all right. I was all right. I feel safe now, and I go to the bathroom, and like the very first words I hear, it was, I mean,
Was it James Cameron and Ridley Scott talking to each other?
yeah, exactly. What the fuck is this kid doing with our shit?
He
Yeah.
ruined our toys.
Yeah. Our toys. So that really shattered me. Like ironically, the next time we previewed, I had to go to the bathroom again, but whatever.
Yeah.
I'm of age. And I walked out and everyone like was looking at me like, "Did you hear anything?" And I was like, "We're good." Um, so we're
Amazing.
doing it right now. But
Those were the two anomalies. I'm sorry you had to go through that, but the good news is people are loving it. The movie kicks ass, honestly. And thank you, man. The gushing was too much, but I appreciate you. Everything you said is very sweet, and right back at you. As you know, I'm such a fan of everything you've done, and just as a fan of Predator, of Alien, of just great adventure films. This one checked all the boxes for me. I'm excited to see it again. Happy opening day. Dan
thank you.
Trachtenberg finally on
Yeah,
Happy, Sad, Confused. And the first, you're going to be back. Don't worry. Now you're a regular.
awesome. Thanks, man. I really appreciate it. Honestly, thank
Thanks,
you.
buddy.
And so ends another edition of Happy, Sad, Confused. Remember to review, rate, and subscribe to this show on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. I'm a big podcast person. I'm Daisy Ridley, and I definitely wasn't pressured to do this by Josh.